A natural disaster turned people into zombies, and they didn't even have a choice in the matter. Those who managed to survive were hunted down, and among them was a pregnant woman desperately trying to stay hidden from a creepy man who was following her. That day, luck seemed to be on her side. The monster's attention was drawn away by a couple in the hallway. But soon, more mutated humans showed up. The guy's girlfriend was killed, and later he became dinner for one of those filthy creatures. It was a bloody mess. The entire place was crawling with monsters, and in the middle of it all, that pregnant woman tried her best to hide. But she had already been bitten, and her body was starting to mutate. Time was running out. She needed to give birth before she turned into one of them. She stuffed a piece of cloth in her mouth to keep quiet and braced herself for the pain of childbirth. She could hear the screams of those around her as everyone in the apartments was getting ripped apart. Her mutation was getting worse, but she pushed hard, determined to survive and bring her baby into the world before it was too late. 7 years later, the place is still crawling with monsters. In one of the apartments, we find a little girl trembling in a quiet corner. She hears the heavy footsteps of a monster approaching. Panicking, she presses her hand over her mouth, hoping not to make a sound, but it's no use. The monster finds her anyway. In a desperate attempt to escape, the girl tries to run, but she's caught. The creature opens its mouth wide, ready to take a bite out of her. But don't be too sad. This mutated monster isn't about to harm her. It's actually her mother, and they're just playing a twisted game of hide and seek. Yes, the mutated creature is the same pregnant woman from 7 years ago, and the little girl is Chuckbach, her daughter. Despite everything, the monster mother is grateful to have been blessed with the title of Mom. Later, Chuckbach can be seen stubbornly insisting on going outside, but her mother refuses, which makes the girl very sad. She begins to cry, expressing her wish to go with her mom and find Gomdol. You might be wondering what Gomdol actually is, but you'll know about it soon enough. The monster mother tells Chuckbach to keep quiet, but the look on her daughter's face softens her heart. She gently tries to remind Chuckbach that it's too dangerous outside, but promises that she'll bring Gomdol back and return as soon as possible. Later, the monster mother roams the streets, where monsters still roam freely. As she walks, one of the creatures lunges at her. She quickly dodges and stabs it with her sharp, tentacle-like appendage. The monster is paralyzed and collapses to the ground. The sight of the fallen creature makes her mouth water, and she indulges in a feast. The taste is strange, but at least her hunger is satisfied. As she is done eating, she suddenly notices a couple of survivors struggling to fight against the mutated monsters. One man holds a torch while the other aims a gun. The mother finds it odd that these fools are practically inviting their own demise by venturing here so late at night. What makes it worse is the fact that the torchlight and gunfire are only making the monsters more aggressive. Acting quickly, she throws 2 rocks at them. One shatters the flashlight, plunging the area into darkness, while the other strikes the guy with the gun squarely on the head. After putting the gunman out of commission, she viciously approaches the torchbearer. What happens next, well, only the heavens know. Later, we see this guy wandering around completely out of breath. Apparently, he's been attacked by some survivors who stole his weapon and supplies. As he looks for a place to hide, he suddenly encounters the monster mother. She quickly launches one of her tentacles at him to attack. Surprisingly, she stops her sharp needle mid-strike because, as fate would have it, this guy is actually Gomdol, the very person the little girl Chuckbach had been talking about. The monster lady instantly pulls him into a hug, while Gomdol is sweating bullets because she nearly scared the life out of him. He is quite shocked to see that not only did she come to find him, but she also somehow retrieved his backpack from the robbers. As for the robber who took Gomdol's bag, he now finds himself cornered by a horde of monsters. All he can do is cry out in terror before meeting a gruesome end as a delicious meal for the creatures. The scene then transitions to about 7 years earlier. We see a younger Gomdol wandering around aimlessly, searching for something useful. That's when he stumbles across a flashlight. After getting his hands on this treasure, he considers heading back, knowing venturing further might mean running into monsters. But curiosity wins, and he ventures deeper inside. As he walks through a desolate building, he notices noise coming from one of the rooms. Cautiously, he approaches with his gun raised and flashlight pointed ahead. What he finds is shocking, a limbless monster crawling on the floor. Gondal has no clue what's going on. Maybe this monster was attacked by something, but either way, it's a red flag. He spins on his heels to leave, but just as he's about to go, he hears a voice coming from the same room down the corridor. He musters up the courage to investigate, even though he could have easily walked away and searched for somewhere else to hide. But he's intrigued by the sound, a faint noise that seems almost impossible to hear in a place like this. What he sees is absolutely surprising. There's a string aimed at his throat, terrifying and surprising in itself, but what shocks him more is the sight of a bloodthirsty monster feeding a baby, which is far more startling than anything he could have imagined. This is how he met her, and now, in the present, that same mother is taking down monsters like they're nothing. He's absolutely fascinated and honestly pretty glad to have such a strong and powerful woman as his wife. Suddenly, they reach a dead end of the building. The only way to escape the monsters pursuing them is to jump over. The guy pulls out his gun, confident he can take care of things, but just as they both prepare to face the horde of monsters ahead, someone suddenly yanks Gondal from behind. The girl quickly grabs his hand and clutches an iron rod jutting out from the floor, refusing to let go of her husband. On the other hand, Gondal feels as if his leg is being torn apart by the force of the monster trying to pull him down. The monster trying to snatch Gondal is no ordinary creature. That disgusting bastard is absolutely eager for some fresh meat. Meanwhile, let's not forget about little Chuckbach. She's just lying around at home, scribbling drawings of herself, her mother, and Gondal. She can't wait for him to return, as she's dearly hoping to play with him. Back to Gondal. He's hanging in the balance between life and death. Monsters from above are trying to catch them alive, and those below are waiting for the couple to fall so they can feast on some fresh meat. Even the powerful mother is struggling to maintain her grip. Her hands are trembling, and she knows that if she doesn't act soon, they're both going to die here. Finally, she makes a decision. She lets go of the iron rod as the monster pulls them down. She quickly uses her tentacles to grab one of the other monsters from the building and slams it down onto the huge monster's head. The big monster is disoriented, giving the monster mother a perfect opening. She drills her sharp needle into the monster's tongue, which had been holding onto Gondal's feet. As the tongue finally lets go, the mother feels a wave of relief. Everything worked out perfectly. Now all they need to do is land properly, deal with the leftovers on the ground, and she can protect Gondal. But it looks like Gondal has other plans. He grabs her closer, tightly, and lands right on the monster's filthy mug. Thankfully, the large bag Gondal was carrying softens their impact, making the fall less brutal. Gondal then quickly jumps off from the mouth of the monster and rolls over the ground to absorb the impact. Wasting no time, he regains his footing, grabs his wife, and starts running as fast as he can. The big monster, on the other hand, is absolutely enraged to see its snack escaping its grasp. As they run, the monster mother berates Gondal for his reckless stunt. She points out that he got himself injured while jumping and running with her. Since he is Chuckbach's father, it would be a disaster for their family if he gets hurt. But Gondal seems far more concerned about her. He apologizes, admitting that it's all his fault they're in such a dangerous situation to begin with. The monster mother can't help but think this guy is a total nutcase. He literally got himself injured protecting her, yet he's still more worried about her well-being than his own. While she's busy berating Gondal about his safety, she is suddenly struck by a sharp fang that drills right through her belly. It's that same hungry monster fighting back with a vengeance. Despite the large hole in her belly, the monster mother stubbornly claims it's just a scratch. But then another monster grabs her by the throat. Gondal, desperate to help, starts rummaging through his giant bag. He's sure he has just the thing that could turn the tide in their favor, but he needs a moment to find it. While the monsters chase them down, the monster mother uses her tentacle-like appendages to pierce through the monsters following her, fending them off as best she can. After a frantic search, Gondal finally finds what he's looking for, a grenade. As soon as he throws it down toward the monsters, it explodes with a massive bang, taking out several of the creatures in one go. The game is still on, though. Gondal pulls out even more grenades, tossing them at the remaining monsters. The critters chasing them are roasted and obliterated in fiery explosions. Although they've dealt with the regular-sized monsters, there's still this massive beast who refuses to give up. They both take a moment to consider what their next move should be, and that is when the monster mother finally decides to do something daring. She grabs a grenade from her husband and leaps into the air. Just as the monster launches its fangs and tentacles at them, Gondal quickly drops to the ground, eyes wide open, watching in awe as the monster mother pulls the pin from the grenade. With a powerful kick, she launches it right at the monster's face. The giant monster opens its mouth, thinking it's about to devour fresh meat, but instead, the grenade lands right inside. The explosion obliterates the monster's head in a split second. Afterwards, the monster mother flips the creature the middle finger as a sign of victory while Gondal watches with pride, glad to see his badass wife handle the situation like a pro. With everything finally taken care of, they make their way to one of the nearby apartments. Once inside, the monster mother removes her clothes, and Gondal notices with relief that her belly wound has already healed. She playfully reminds him that he should always be the careful one, as he's her family's protector. Now that everything's settled, they decide it's time to find their daughter, who must be waiting for them. When they reach the apartment, Gondal calls out to her, and little Chuckbok rushes toward her daddy. They share a passionate and adorable hug, full of love and relief. Chuckbok proudly shows her father the paintings she made, and Gondal gives her a thumbs up, glad to see she finished them. As a reward, he pulls out a bar of chocolate and offers it to her, causing the little one to jump in happiness, thrilled by the sweet treat. The monster mother watches the scene before her, looking at her family with warm, loving eyes. No matter how difficult it is to survive in this world, whenever she sees her daughter smile, she feels re-energized. In that moment, she knows that no matter what happens, she will protect her dear family at all costs. As the trio enjoys their happiness, there's someone standing just outside their apartment. From the stranger's expression, it's clear she can't stand seeing this little family so content. Meanwhile, inside, the family shared dinner together, and both parents felt a deep sense of joy watching their little daughter eat so happily. Chuckbok then decided to share her food with her parent. First, she offered a bite to Gondal, serving it with her own hands. Then it was time for her mother to have a spoonful of rice, but her mother hesitated. The little one insisted that her mother take a bite, but the woman hesitated again. That's when Gondal gently reminded their daughter that mommy was already full. But Chuckbok didn't seem to believe it, especially since she hadn't seen her mother eat anything at all. Gondal tried to reassure her, claiming he'd seen her eat plenty of times. At this, Chuckbok became genuinely curious. She wanted to know how her mother ate, since she'd never actually seen her do it before. The mother gently took Chuckbok's hand and tried to reassure her, telling her that she didn't need any food, so the little one should just enjoy it herself. The dejected girl then began eating again, her face marked by a sad expression. Later, we saw her holding a cookie, and with a joyful smile, she told her mother that it was really delicious. She insisted her mother try it, sharing her favorite snack. Chuckbok kept urging her to have a bite, which only made the woman feel more anxious, unsure of how to turn down her daughter without hurting her feelings. Eventually, the mother gave in to the girl's persistent pleas. With trembling hands, she reluctantly reached for the cookie, but just as she did, Chuckbok quickly pulled it back because she wanted to eat some of it herself. She tried to break the cookie in half, but ended up with 2 uneven pieces. Chuckbok faced a great dilemma. Should she keep the larger piece for herself or give it to her mother? Eventually, she gave in to her urges and offered the smaller piece to her mother, but once again, the woman hesitated. From the look on Chuckbok's face, it was clear that the little girl really wanted to eat the whole cookie herself. Not wanting to force her mother to eat, she decided to just eat it all on her own. However, she quickly snapped out of her hungry thoughts when she remembered that she was supposed to make her mother eat the cookie. Gondal also chimed in, happily asking for a bite, but Chuckbok, too eager to enjoy the treat, ended up devouring the whole thing and decided to try again with another cookie. Later, Chuckbok could often be seen pestering her mother to eat random things. At some point, the monster mother grew increasingly annoyed and snapped at her daughter using her usual sign language. She told Chuckbok to stop bothering her and asked if she enjoyed teasing mommy so much. Because of her mother's outburst, Chuckbok was on the brink of tears. She had never intended to upset her. She tried to explain that she was just worried about her. She had never seen her mother eat anything and thought maybe she must be hungry. The monster mother, feeling the weight of her daughter's concern, gently placed her finger on Chuckbox's little palm, and finally decided it was time to tell her the full truth. She had been hiding the truth for so long, and now, seeing how it upset her daughter, she realized she couldn't keep the secret any longer. With a deep breath, the mother was about to tell Chuckbox that she only craved flesh and meat, but as soon as she touched her daughter's palm, her monstrous urges flared up. A drop of blood from Chuckbox's nose appeared, and the mother's instincts screamed to devour her child no matter the cost. The scene shifted, and the only thing we heard was the slam of a door. Gondal heard the door slam and rushed to check on the situation, but when he looked around, he found the house empty. Chuckbox confirmed that her mother had gone outside for some reason. Outside, the monster mother was seen tearing into another creature. She had lost control when she noticed her daughter's blood and ran out as fast as she could, determined to devour the other monster in order to suppress her instincts. Later, the family of 3 slept together in one bed, with Chuckbox nestled between her parents. The monster mother reflected on how she had never realized how sweet a child's blood could be. From that moment on, she promised to be extra careful around her daughter and vowed to protect her forever. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video. See you next time on the Manafam Recap channel.